Hello everyone. Today I am continuing with the condition for minima in the case of n number of slits of Fraunhofer diffraction, or that is also known as in the case of grating spectra or grating, transmission grating. You already come to know that there is no one principal maxima. There are so many are there, and it is known as zero order, first order, second order, etc. Now let me concentrate on condition for minima. Minima means intensity should be almost zero, correct? Therefore, one general guess I can take here is, see, this is a general formula for intensity. So, for intensity to be 0, I can expect this term must be 0. That is, sine n beta must be 0. This is my general guess to get the condition for minima. So, from general guess I can write sine n beta is equal to 0. But remember, here sine beta should not be equal to 0, because this condition is already used for the principal maxima, correct? Therefore, here only sine n beta must be equal to 0. So, if sine n beta is 0, then angle n beta must be equal to plus or minus m pi. So, if I substitute beta value, then I can write pi by lambda into a plus b sine theta, that is equal to plus or minus m pi. So, pi get cancelled. So, we are left with n into a plus b sine theta is equal to plus or minus m lambda. So, this should be the condition for minima, provided m can take any values from 1, 2, 3, etc. up to n minus 1, but it should not take 0 value, n value to capital N value. Why? Because for m equals 0 value, let me cross check. If I put m as 0, if I put m as 0, then beta will be 0, correct? But if beta is 0, then obviously sin beta will become equal to 0. So, you have to choose the condition in such a way that m value in such a way that sin beta should not be equal to 0. Therefore, I should omit the value m equals 0. Why not for m equals capital N? If I put m equals capital N, then I will get n and n get cancelled, then I will get beta as pi. For sin pi is also equal to 0. Therefore, it should not be equal to 0 here. So, I should not take m value as n also. So, similarly, I should not take m value as 2n also, and then 4n, etc. Sorry, n, 2n, 3n, etc. Okay, because for any multiples of pi, sin value becomes equal to 0, correct? Therefore, this is the condition for minima. N into a plus b sin theta is equal to plus or minus m lambda, where m can take any values from 1 to 3 etc. up to n minus 1, but not 0, but not n, but not 2n, but not 3n, etc. Okay, so this is your condition for minima. Now I have to concentrate on condition for secondary maximas. See, to find the secondary maxima in earlier case also, in the single slit case also, usually we will take the differentiation and we will equate that to 0, because maxima means intensity must be maximum. So, in mathematics, the condition for maximum is satisfied when I take the differentiation and then equate that to 0, that you know from the mathematical idea. Okay, therefore, I will equate that to 0 by after differentiating. So, d by dv of, this is the intensity formula I have got. So, a square sin square alpha by alpha square is constant. So, I will take that outside and I will apply the differentiation to this term. This term is in the form of u by v. You know that differentiation of u by v is, first of all, differentiation of v into differentiation of u, correct, minus u into differentiation of v whole divided by v square is there. Division rule. The u into v is product rule, u by v is division rule. You can remember that. So, if I apply that, I will be left with this thing I will get. You can cross check. Sin square beta into 2 sin n beta cos n beta into n minus sin square n beta into 2 sin beta into cos beta I will get. So, if I take this term is constant, 2 sin n beta into sin beta is constant. If I take that outside, I will be left with sin beta into cos n beta into n minus cos beta into sin n beta. divided by sine power 4 beta is there. I have to equate that to 0. So here 1 sine beta and 1 sine beta get cancelled. So I will be left with sine cube beta. See here, a square sine square alpha by alpha should not be equal to 0. And sine n beta should not be equal to 0 because this condition is already used, and sine beta also should not be equal to 0. So only term we will be left with is this bracket term that should be equal to 0 to satisfy this condition. So if I equate this to 0 and if I take this negative term to this side, then I will be left with n cos n beta into sine beta is equal to sine n beta into cos beta. So I will take all the beta terms one side and n beta terms one side. So I will be left with n into sine beta by cos beta and sine n beta by cos n beta. So I will be left with n tan beta is equal to tan n beta. So this is in the form of, if you consider this as tan theta, this is in the form of something like opposite by adjacent. So if I construct a right angle triangle, if this is theta, according to this equation, theta must be n beta, opposite value must be n tan beta, and adjacent value must be, if nothing is there, I can put 1, adjacent value must be 1. So by using this right angle triangle, now I can find the hypotenuse. Why I want hypotenuse? Because I want the sine n beta value, where I have to use the formula hypotenuse by opposite. So square root of 1 square plus n square tan square beta is the hypotenuse from this right angle triangle. So now I can find the sine n beta value, that is opposite by hypotenuse, that is n tan beta by, now only we find the hypotenuse value. If I square it, then I will get this term. Okay. Next, what I am doing, I am just simplifying by substituting tan square as sine square by cos square, and here also tan square as sine square by cos square. So if you simplify, here I have to take the LCM, and this cos square beta term I am taking to the denominator. So if I simplify, I will get this, and I will divide the whole equation by sine square beta because I want this term in the intensity. So if I divide the whole equation by sine square beta, I will be left with this n square divided by cos square beta plus n square sine square beta. Okay, then sine square n beta divided by sine square beta n square into 1 minus sine, because cos square beta can be written as 1 minus sine square beta, and this is as it is. So and from these two terms again I can take sine square beta common. So if I take sine square beta common, I will be left with n square minus 1 and this plus 1 as it is. So if sine square n beta value is substituted in the intensity value, then the intensity of the secondary maxima can be written as a square sine square alpha by alpha square into, for this term I can write like this, n square into 1 plus sine square beta into n square minus 1. See, for all this, so this is the value of intensity of principal maxima. So if I replace that, then I can write this as the I max. So I will be left with IS as like this. Why I am deriving this equation means IS is now inversely proportional to n square. That means as the inversely proportional, as the n value increases, intensity of secondary maxima decreases. That means it almost vanishes. So because n value is very high, what is n? N is the number of slits used in the grating spectra. Now that number of slits means, for example, if I draw one line means it will divide the whole glass plate into two slits, correct? If I draw two lines, then it will divide the whole glass plate into three slits. If I draw fourth line, then it will divide the whole glass plate into, then 1 2 3 4 5 slits you will get. Similarly, you know that how many number of lines I will draw while constructing the grating. So I will draw around 5000 to 12,000 lines. That means number of slits also increases, correct? N is number of slits. As I draw many number of lines here, number of slits also increases. That means n value is very high. As the n value is very high, intensity of secondary maximas decreases. So in grating spectra, almost we will consider certain secondary maximas vanishes. So in general you will get any, if you use any spectras, in general this will be the intensity. So due to sin square alpha by alpha square term, this is like a single slit diffraction. For this obviously you will get one principal maxima and then secondary minimas are also there, but I am not concentrating on that. And this term sin square n beta by n sin square beta term will be like this. So actually this is not minimas, this will be first order, zero order principal maxima, this is first order principal maxima, and this is also first order principal maxima. So now in general what happens, this is the combination of these two terms, sin square alpha and sin square n beta term. I am not concentrating on minimas because intensity of minimas will be increases. So in any grating diffraction pattern you will get like this. Firstly, this is the principal maxima and this is your next maximas, and this is your then to next order maxima. So you will get only the maximas. You can find the order of the maxima. This is zero order maxima, this is first order maxima, this is also first order maxima. See, the for the for principal or for the zero order maxima the intensity is very high, then for the either side of the first order intensity reduces, then if you get some more second order, then second order intensity is still less, and here also second order intensity will be still less. So don't consider this as secondary maxima, this is principal maxima only, but for different principal maxima intensity goes on decreases. Okay, so this is about the grating spectras or grating diffraction pattern, or you can also call this as diffraction pattern if I use n number of slits. Okay, next this will be the net intensity curve. So usually diffraction pattern of grating is used by the word grating spectra. Why we use grating spectra? Because when I use the white light, the zero order maxima will be very intense white in color, because all the colors will mix up, so giving the white light. So all the color or all the high intensity will be mixed up here, so central one will be a white in color. On either side of the white you will get the colored pattern starting from violet to red, and here also violet to red, violet to red, violet to red. See, spectra always increases from violet to red on either side. Okay, so this violet to red pattern is known as first order spectra, and this is known as first order spectra on downside, and this will be second order spectra, and this will be second order spectra. Please concentrate here, this is first order, second order for only for maximas. I am not considering the secondary maximas in grating spectra. In grating spectra, secondary maximas are almost omitted. We won't concentrate on that. Only we will concentrate on the maximas and the order of the maximas. Okay, next concept related to spectra is absent spectra. See, in a single slit the condition for minima is given by a sin theta is equal to m lambda. This you know in the from the single slit diffraction. And in the grating, that is n number of slit diffraction, the condition for principal maxima is given by a plus b sin theta is equal to n lambda. So here also m can take any values starting from, since it is minima it should start from 1, 2, 3, not from 0. Since it is maxima it can take from 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, so if both the equations are simultaneously satisfied, then particular order will be absent in grating spectra known as absent spectras. See, this is minima and this condition is for maxima. For minima intensity should be 0, for maxima intensity should be high. If both the condition is satisfied, then such a order will be vanishes because their intensity reduces, correct? And those order which will vanish in the grating spectra is known as absent spectra. Okay, so both the condition is satisfied. So if I divide equation 2 by 1, then I will get like this: a plus b by a is equal to n by m. So this is the mathematical condition to be satisfied for the spectra to be absent or for the absent spectra. So in case 1 I will consider if A is equal to B, that means the width of transparencies must be equal to width of opacities in grating. Then what happens if A is equal to B? This becomes 2A and here A is there, A get cancelled. So you will get N by M is equal to 2. Correct? Or N is equal to 2M. You know that M can take any values, not 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So if I substitute M value here, then I will get N is equal to 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. Something like that. So these orders of spectra will be absent when you view the diffraction grating through the telescope. So these order spectra will be absent. If B is equal to 2A, that is the width of opacities is double the width of transparencies, then what happens? Then you will get then 3 is equal to N by M or N is equal to 3M. Substituting M values as 1, 2, 3, etc. you will get N is equal to only 3, 6, 9, 12, etc. This means these order of spectra will be absent in the diffraction pattern or in the grating pattern. So this is known as absent spectra. So and this completes your diffraction for N slits or diffraction for grating. So but here one more is there according to your syllabus. Usually we will consider for normal incidence. What happens? We have to concentrate on the oblique incidence only. I already told you in the grating we will concentrate only on the principal maximas. So in the case of oblique incidence, I will be concentrating only on the condition for principal maxima, that's all. So actually if this is the grating, there are n number of slits are there. So usually we will pass the rays, parallel rays like this. This is known as normal incidence. But now I am passing the light like this with an angle of incidence I, so that the light get diffracts after passing through the grating. Light gets diffracts through an angle theta, let me say like this. Okay, now this is the first ray and this is slit 1 and this is slit 2. So how to find the path difference now? As usual, from S1 to S2, from slit 1 to slit 2, I will part the normal here. So here also I have to draw the normal. I will call that as N and this as N dash. So now the path difference will be total. N1 to S2 and S2 to N. Total will be the path difference. So from earlier condition, we know that path difference must be equal to N lambda for principal maxima. Correct? So now the path difference is S2N plus S2N dash. As in the earlier case, I can find S2N value as, see if this is theta, this is also theta. You can observe very clearly in the figure. And if this is I, and this is also angle of incidence I, because these two will be 90 degree, therefore this will be 90 minus theta, and this will be, and these two are perpendicular, therefore this will be theta. Similarly, I can find this angle as I. So in the, as in the earlier case, what is the path difference S2N value? I can write this as A plus B sin theta, and here A plus B sin I. Now the total will be, that is A plus B sin theta plus A plus B sin I must be equal to N lambda. In both, if I take A plus B common, then I will get sin of theta n plus sin of I is equal to N lambda. Know that sin C plus sin D formula I can use. So I will be getting like this, 2 into sin of I plus theta n by 2. Why I am using theta n? Because according to n value, theta values changes. I plus theta n by 2 into cos of I minus theta n by 2 is equal to N lambda. So sin of I plus theta n by 2 is equal to N lambda by 2 into A plus B into cos of I minus theta n by 2. This is the expression for sin thing. See, in the above equation, if this angle is less, that is I plus theta value is less, then sin value is less. Correct? If sin value is less, then from this expression cos value should be maximum. If cos value should be maximum, under the cos whatever the angle is there, that must be equal to 0. Correct? Therefore I can write I minus theta n by 2 is equal to 0, or I is equal to theta n. So this is the condition for minimum deviation. So thus I can call the rays would suffer minimum deviation when the above condition is satisfied. Okay. So why it is considered as minimum deviation? This is known as deviation part, amount by which the path deviates, that is S2n value, and here also S1n value. So amount by which the path deviates. So path deviation will be less when this angle will be less. For this angle to be less, the total sine value to be minimum. For sine value to be minimum, in this expression I can't touch any of this. This is all fixed for a given grating and for a given source. So I have to concentrate only on cos, and this is, since this is in denominator, this value should be maximum, and this cos value is maximum when the angle inside the cos is 0. So I will get this as the condition for minimum deviation. So I know that angle of deviation can be written as I plus theta n. Why it is I plus theta n? See, actually incident ray should pass on like this, correct? It will go on like this. Without the grating spectra, the incident ray will go like this, correct? If this is I, this can also be written as I vertically opposite angle, but now it is deviated like this because of this grating spectra. So what is the total angle of deviation? I plus theta, correct? So angle of deviation is d is equal to I plus theta n, but for minimum deviation condition I must be equal to theta n. If I substitute that, I will get d is equal to 2i, or I is equal to d by 2. So if I substitute this in the equation 1, that is the path difference equation, then I will get sin a plus b into sine of d by 2 plus sine of d by 2 I will get. So totally I will get 2 into a plus b into sine of d by 2 is equal to n lambda. So this is the condition for principal maxima at minimum deviation position for oblique incidence, in grating. Okay, so in oblique incidence I am just concentrating only on the condition for principal maxima, that too in the minimum deviation position. So according to your syllabus, next I have to concentrate on how to determine the wavelength of the given source by using grating spectra. There is an experiment is there actually in your practical lab. So if you done this, you can understand very clearly. Anyway, so I will explain this, how to determine the wavelength of the given source by using the grating spectra, in the next class. Thank you.